Hello, hello. Welcome to the Pulse of Jonesboro. I am Jeremy Terrell, and I am your host. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we're going to talk a little bit about several things, and we're going to start with just how crazy it is. I've been doing a little bit of meeting with some people around the state, and it's been real interesting, to say the least. There's a lot of good things going on, and there are things that I believe all of us would classify as not so good. A lot of infighting, a lot of deals, and people getting their feelings hurt. It's just a crazy new world that we live in, and it's really hard to do things with groups that you just don't 100% agree with. The art of coming together, whether you agree 100% or not, and find common ground and work for the better good, that's like an art that's being lost. It's pretty interesting. And the more that I meet with other people, the more I realize that's a bigger case that's been going on, and it seems to be getting worse. And I believe that it's a combination of a couple of different things, but the truth is that I just believe that today's battle is about good versus evil. And, good people do bad things and bad people do good things. And sometimes it's just really hard to distinguish what's really going on. And good people get sucked into things. People's emotions and feelings play such a huge part into today's political climate, business climate, whatever it may be. Emotions and feelings play such a big role these days. And I remember growing up and listening to Franklin Covey. My dad was a big Franklin Covey fan. And if you read the things that Franklin Covey wrote back in the late 80s and early 90s, they don't resonate with today's time. But the truth is that what he did and the things that he wrote, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and the qualities of a great leader and so forth and so on. And it's really concerning because what those things were back then really apply to today even more, and yet we've forgot about them. So I encourage you guys to go Google something from the 80s or 90s about being a better leader or just a better person, and contrast it to what they're saying today. And it worked back then. Like we thrived in the 90s, and up until just recent, we were collectively putting our heads together and talking about being positive and pushing through and being resourceful and all kinds of different stuff. And today it's more about your emotions and your feelings. And not that those aren't important, but they sure don't play a huge role in moving mountains like we used to do. It's been real interesting meeting and talking to people. You guys keep hearing me say this, but we're doing some great things with the Pulse and trying to move some mountains. And when you do that, you got to have some great people around you. And we're gathering those people and really getting some good momentum. You guys heard me say in the last episode, we had over 7,000 views with Facebook and the podcast last month. And that's incredible. That means that your voice is being heard. And it's also funny that when we talk about an issue on the podcast, any episode may happen, and we see a result through what people are doing versus, I guess, the persona. It's funny. I talked about some things and in the way that I really would like to see things going different, and then you see a post from the city or from somewhere else and it's talking about that same thing. And look at us. The only thing that's really aggravating about that is that a lot of that is we'd rather look good instead of be good. You guys have heard me say that before, but in today's time, it's really easy to post something and say, hey, look at us, we're doing all of this stuff. And a lot of people see that and think, oh, they must be doing a lot of stuff. But then you get out and you look around and you find out that's really not the case. That's happening. That's today's society is, how good can we make it look versus doing anything real. It's concerning. The thing in the state is it's really interesting. We're going to start there will be a Pulse of Arkansas, by the way. So look forward to that. We're not going to get away from the Pulse of Jonesboro. We're definitely going to continue to do that, but we're also going to get into state issues and a lot more interviews. One of the big things we want to do as the election season comes on in the beginning of next year, we really are going to start doing a ton of interviews and things like that, and really allow you guys to meet the candidates and whoever's going to come on. I can't guarantee that they're all going to come on, but as many as we can get on are going to come on, and allow you guys, the voters, to get a chance to meet them in some fashion. We may reach out to you guys and have you guys reach out to us with questions that you may have for possibly any of these candidates, and we'll try to give you guys some heads up on who's going to be coming on and all of that good stuff. Or within the month, we will have a news feed on the Pulse of Jonesboro on our website. And so we're going to start putting some information there. We've got some locals that'll be writing some great information for you guys to get and to understand more of what's going on within the workings of Jonesboro, Craighead, Northeast Arkansas. It's going to be fantastic. But getting back to the state and meeting with people, it's a shame that we have, it's at least within the Republican Party. I think the Democrat Party is always they fight and fight, and then they come back together at the very end to push their agenda. Republicans seem to fight and then get mad at each other and stay divided, and it's not a good plan. And that's what's going on right now. Is we actually have a couple of different veins going on, that the rhinos versus the grassroots, versus those that are in power. It's a real struggle that's going on, and hopefully we get some good candidates in over the next year, and a lot of that stops. There's a really big push to get people in power and in positions that just want to work for the people. And we'll see how good that goes. We'll start to be able to monitor that and really give you guys some great information. This is a work in progress, and we're getting better, but there's a lot that goes on to giving a good podcast and a news feed and things like that. But all of that's coming, and I'm so be excited about it. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the workings of Jonesboro. One of the colleges did an economic analysis for different regions of Arkansas and graded where we're at as far as economic living for growth and so forth and so on. And Jonesboro didn't grade so well. We've been stuck at a C now for quite a while, and that's not good for our farmers that kind of keep us at a level that is above probably what we should be. A little bit of the school helps in that, and a little bit of the medical helps in that as well. But we got a C, which means the areas that they looked at is Northwest Arkansas, Jonesboro area, Fort Smith, and Central Arkansas. Now, those are the economic powers of Arkansas, and they are all either an A or B, and we were a C, and that's been going on for a while. And that is real concerning. And there was a big debate last year talking about the direction of which we're going. And I can tell you that a lot of the big players that bring in businesses and stuff have been talking about this for a little bit. They've done some of their own analysis and stuff. And Jonesboro's got so much great things that go on within Jonesboro. We're a good faith-based community. You guys have heard me say these things before, but the cost of living is reasonable, and the wages are okay compared to the cost of living, and it's a good family place. But there are things that we're doing that's just not leading us in the right direction, and we're just not being effective. Our elected officials, they keep talking about trying to go to 100 people. We know that without jobs to bring in another 20,000 people, I said 100 people, 100,000 people, but without jobs for those 20,000 people, that's just a silly goal. We need to be getting good paying jobs, factories, businesses, more stuff like Amazon and so forth and so on before we go and start begging for more people to come here. And I don't know what the underlining thing is, and we're going to dive into that a little bit more, try to figure out what it is really, why they are pushing for this 100,000. I'm sure there's incentives that come for being in the government. I don't know. I don't even understand it, but pushing to get to 100,000 is silly. It's crazy. We can't manage. We don't have the jail capacity. These are all these factors that you have to look in. We don't have the job capacity. We just don't have the resources to gather another 20,000 people. We definitely don't have the road structures. There's just lots and lots of things that we don't have. And to just go out and push for 100,000 without the infrastructure to manage 100,000, it's just silly. It's actually irresponsible. And I hope that the people that keep bargaining that realize how irresponsible that is. Because if you bring in a huge influx of people that we don't have jobs for, and we got to see on our economics of Jonesboro. We put on, I think last year we only put on 600 added new jobs last year. That's not good. That's the lowest out of all of those areas that I told you about, and by half actually. And we're going in the wrong direction as far as unemployment. And that is part of this push to bring more people into our community. Let's push more people in that don't have jobs. This is crazy. It's just silly. And so our what do we want, 6% unemployment? That's detrimental to our community. It's just ridiculous. 7, 8. You guys that are pushing this, you need to stop. You need to step back and realize that what you're doing is not beneficial to Jonesboro or our community as a whole. So why did we get a C? With the exception of the farmers, like I said, we didn't grow. We didn't add new jobs. We didn't see a growth. I think Hydro added a little bit, and I think there's some other growth that happened with FedEx and stuff like that, but the add-on of jobs was really low. Like I said, we only added 600 jobs to Jonesboro in the last year, and that's subpar at best. And when you're a community of this size, you better be growing way better than that. We're going to have people move in here. We're going to get areas that are dying because there's quite a few around Jonesboro. They're going to start moving here. And so we got to keep up. You guys have heard me talk a little bit about the chamber. If you go around to some of these businesses and ask them about what the chamber's done for them, you don't get any response, really. They are the engine to help raise our economy. Like, their job is to bring in businesses. And I think that Jonesboro Unlimited, which is subsidiary of the chamber, I know there's some great people that work there, and I just believe that for some reason those that are above them or in charge shackle what it is that they can do. It's a really weird situation that I don't quite understand just yet. But when you get C's year after year and no improvement, we've had some C minuses, which means where I've almost been a D. That's bad. That's a bad thing. And you and I should be demanding more. And it's okay. It's okay that we demand better. And if people are getting their feelings hurt because of that, shame on you. Quit having C's. Other players, Fort Smith is growing, and that's bad. That looks bad on us. And why is Fort Smith doing better than Jonesboro? There's nothing more special about Fort Smith than there is of Jonesboro. I actually, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I definitely like Jonesboro way more than I like Fort Smith. We should be shining above Fort Smith. Northwest Arkansas has got a little bit advantage with weather, and they got a ton of money, and so we can't really compare ourselves to them. Little Rock, it's the capital. They have some resources that we don't have, but doesn't mean we can't compete with Little Rock. We should be a smaller version of Little Rock for sure. A lot of similarities there. They're quite a bit bigger, but a lot of similarities as far as what we bring to the table that they bring to the table, just in a smaller venue, of course. The chamber's got to start doing better. The chamber is made up of, it's interesting, we got people that serve on the board that don't even live in Jonesboro. Now, they used to be residents of Jonesboro at one point in time, but they have been residents for a long time, and yet they still serve on a board. I'm not 100% sure why is that. The president of the board's been the president of the board for a while now, and we're not moving in the right direction. Those people should stop and look at our grades and say, what are we doing wrong? the thing that's been happening is I've given a lot of these people a new out, and they just point their fingers at me. So, well, Jeremy, you keep saying this and this. All I'm doing is giving my opinion in some cases. In other cases, I'm giving factual evidence that I'm reading from or collecting. And if you don't like, that's your fault, not my fault. So if you don't like that, I'm sick of seeing C's. That's not my fault. And you can't get mad at me or anybody else that's bringing that up, because I'm a concerned citizen. My family's here. I'm here. My wife's here. Both of our extended family is here, and we want what's best for Jonesboro. And so what's best for Jonesboro is that we're growing, that we're attracting businesses, we're attracting people that contribute to society. And I can already see it. It's like, you keep bashing the stuff that brings in good people. If you guys keep saying that these sidewalks that we keep putting in are attracting people, you're nuts. You're nuts. Nobody's on the sidewalks. I don't want to even hear that anymore. We've done a few time lapses. I don't know if we're going to release those. People drive by and there's stuff, but we've done some small evidence finding of who's using sidewalks. It's very few at best. And, where they're putting in sidewalks. So the new sidewalk that's going in is going down Jefferson. And I know, again, it's kind of like Creth and Washington. Why don't you just build up Washington and make it a little bit nicer, instead of making a whole nother road and a whole nother bike path and a whole nother sidewalk to try to get people to come from downtown or from the school to downtown? You should have just really beefed up Washington, but you didn't. And it's the same situation going on to try to get down to G Street. You got Washington and Matthews, both are fairly large roads, and yet you've decided to go down Jefferson. Who made that decision? Here's what's going on with that is that area is, how do we clean up this part of our town? Let's just put sidewalks in and people start buying these houses and fixing them up. And that's good. I get it. Let's buy up houses that are dilapidated, fix them up, and either sell them to good people that are contributing or whatever it may be. But at least be honest with us. And that's not what's going on. Did anybody know that a whole sidewalk, again, 6 foot, 7 foot sidewalks going down Jefferson? And if anybody drives down Jefferson, again, it's lots of people's yards getting swallowed up by a huge walk, and some of them are very close to front doors now. People used to, where people park, now they're going to have a sidewalk, and it's going to change a lot for people going down Jefferson. It's just not right. It's just not right. You want to clean up certain areas, fine. There's other ways to do it, but to keep forcing these sidewalks down our throats, it's just comical. It's just really comical. And again, no roads being done. It's just ridiculous. So kind of back to the chamber. The chamber getting $338,500 from the city. That's an operating fund, and then they collect monies through other things. And that money goes to paying people to bring jobs to Jonesboro. And they haven't been real successful. There was a time where they were doing really good. They did some great things, and back when Nestle came and some other stuff, and is really good. Since then, it's just slowly gotten a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less. And now we're seeing C's. We shouldn't be okay with C's. We should be demanding way better than C's, and especially with that operating budget and more. I don't know what else they get. They got membership fees and some other stuff. They really charge grocery stores and banks and stuff. They charge them a lot of money to be a member. And I know that some banks and maybe even some grocery stores and other things are about to start dropping their memberships and this is coming straight from them, if the chamber doesn't move and fix things. I know some people, again, that work at Jonesboro Unlimited and in the chamber, and they're awesome people. They're go-getters, and they do a lot of things. What's interesting to me, it's got a head scratcher, is why in the world are we a C again? So it's okay to have some dips and then rise, and then have some dips and rise. But, we've been C's for a while now, and that's got to stop. When you're going in the wrong direction or stagnant, I felt that stagnant is moving behind. So especially if other cities around you and in the state are doing better, that means they're pulling your people that you want to keep here. I don't know what they're going to get better. The city council votes on that each and every year, how much money they get. And maybe the city council needs to say, hey, listen, we're going to give you your $338,000 this year, but it's based off of performance. If we don't have performance in between this year and next year, we're not going to give you as much. If that continues to show, then maybe we go in a different direction. I think that's totally within the purview of the city council, because we should be demanding success. We should 100% be demanding that yours and my taxpayers' money is being used and spent wisely to improve our town. There are, I don't want to get like totally down on things. Certain things are happening and being done. There are some outlets here in Jonesboro and stuff, but I think that we all can say that collectively, that what are we seeing that's new in Jonesboro, especially for families or outlet and things like that to do? What are we seeing? There's been a lot of talk about different companies coming back or coming in and so forth, and we just haven't seen that. We get promised or talked about, and we just haven't seen that growth. We're getting stuff like Cold Stone, but we've had Cold Stone before. Baskin-Robbins is back, and Baskin-Robbins, actually, I went this last week, and it's doing great. I mean, they're busy. They've got tons of people in there serving ice cream, and it's fun to have Baskin-Robbins back. They got some great ice cream. I mean, all of that's good, but number one, I don't need to be eating ice cream 4 or 5 times a week, but a lot of people can. And please, if you can eat that much ice cream and not gain 300 pounds, go do it. But myself, I can have it once or twice a week maybe. But it's good to have those things, but we've got to do more for Jonesboro. We've got to see manufacturing growth. We've got to see other companies coming in and us doing whatever it takes in order to keep those companies. We've got to do a better job of our VOTAC. You guys heard me in an episode a while back talk about how Hytro and several other groups of people flew over to Fort Smith and saw this great tech school and thought that this was something that really needed to be brought to Jonesboro. And something happened while or after they got here, and the presentation was given, and it was okay kind of thing. And so it just squashed. There's reasons for that. I'm not sure what they are, but it's not good reasons. It's not helping Jonesboro. We could have brought a tech school, a high-level tech school to Jonesboro, and we didn't do it. And, whoever squashed that should be ashamed of themselves. And when you have the opportunity to batter Jonesboro, we better jump all over it. There's a story about why Blytheville is the way Blytheville is, and that's because the Methodist hospital back in the day actually approached Blytheville to be put there, and they decided that they didn't want the hospital. So the hospital came to Jonesboro, and lo and behold, several years later, that one mistake, with a bunch of other ones in Blytheville that they've made, but that was just one big, massive mistake that people started leaving Blytheville and coming to Jonesboro. And thank goodness Jonesboro picked up the hospital and ran with it. It doesn't take very much to put a town in a bad situation. We seem to be making bad decision after bad decision and not holding anybody accountable. That's a big thing in today's society is when you do an okay job or not a good job, don't you be saying hard things, because that's mean. It's kind of like when I went to the city council meeting and I was giving my opinion, people were getting offended. And it's like, that's what you signed up for when you became a leader in our city, is you're going to get the scrutiny, and you're going to get, you should hear from the people and get their feedback. And when we're not happy, it's your job to make adjustments and move us in the right direction. And so forth, we're not moving in the right direction. We're stagnant in a lot of areas of Jonesboro. I keep going back to some of our manufacturing facilities are really busting their tails. to do some great things, and they are. You just don't hear about it, but we have some great manufacturing facilities. But we've lost some over the years, and we didn't fill those gaps or fill those holes, and we really need to be. Our hospitals are adding good things and trying to get better, but we got some great doctors and stuff. They don't have the greatest reputation as far as like emergency room visits and billings and a lot of the procedural stuff. They give a bad rap. In all honesty, I think this is a couple months old, but NEA was ranked 8th in the state, and St. Bernard's is ranked like 17th in the state. And that's just sad. I don't have any other way to put it, but that's just sad. Both of them should be in the top 10. We would love to see them in the top 5, especially being as big as we are, being the 4th largest city in the state. It would be great to have our hospitals in the top 5, definitely in the top 10. Now, I believe St. Bernard's has one of their specific areas is in the top 10, but I think that's in the hospital as a whole, and NEA got ranked at 8th. And this was earlier in the year. I don't know what it is right now, but it's okay for us to say that. It's okay for us to be like, what? Why can't we be better and not be enemy number 1 because we want our people that represent our town and that are a huge part of our town to do good and to be pushed good. There's fine orthopedics here, and there's fine. The St. Bernard's Health and Wellness is a fantastic place, and St. Bernard's does tons and tons for Jonesboro. And I'm not saying that they don't bring an unbelievable value, because Jonesboro wouldn't be what it is today if St. Bernard's wasn't here. But with all that being said, we still want them to do better. We still want you to be in the top 10 or better. And that's okay. It is what it is. Take it and run with it and say, hey, guys, we need to do whatever it takes in order to get out of where we're at and start doing better with our procedures or whatever it is that's caused you guys to be, out of the top 10. And same with the chamber. The chamber, man, I don't know if it's because you guys are doing the same thing that you've always been doing. I don't know if you're being shackled by the board or whoever leads the board. I'm not 100% sure what the situation is, but it's got to change. We can't keep having C's, especially when our mayor is pushing to be 100,000. I don't know if you guys agree with him, but if you don't agree with him and you're like, hey, stop, you guys need to tell him to stop preaching that. But we have to do better for the people that are here right now. We have to do better. We don't need to be asking a bunch more people to move into Jonesboro before we can keep and maintain what we have in Jonesboro. And we keep growing in other areas, and yet we keep asking, city council men and women keep asking, the question is like, what does that look like 5 years from now? And we don't ever get a definitive answer. What do the sidewalks look like in 5 years from now? I can tell you, I drove down Creth again the other day, and that island has grass this tall above the curb. It's this tall. And it's like, we can't even get that weed eated. I don't know. It's got sections that's got gravel and dirt all in it, and you're wanting bikers to drive through it. And when you've got dirt and gravel in the middle of the bike path, that's crazy unsafe for bikers. I saw the street sweeper out the other day going down Stroud. It's the first time I've seen the street sweeper, and I can't tell you how long. Maybe all year, definitely all year. I don't know if I've seen it all year, but it's nice to see it out. But that should be a regular in Jonesboro. Well, as a city, we've gotten complacent. We've gotten okay with mediocre, and they do a really good job of trying to look good. And again, I think the social media of Jonesboro does a great job. I do, and I think I know some of the people that are there. And if it's the person I'm thinking about, I love her. I think she's a phenomenal human being. She just wants what's good for people in this world. But with all that being said, you can't just look good. At some point in time, you got to be good. You got to be congruent with what you say. And they put out a whole thing about what's being done with our roads. And I said this in the last couple of episodes, but I don't see them. I don't have dates when they are coming. They put out, I think it was last week, they put out to me, this is incredibly concerning. I don't think the people that were really putting it out meant anything by it in a malicious way, but they put out on Facebook a link that you can go to, and you can turn people in for bad yards. You can, hey, we got bad potholes. Hey, our roads are falling apart. Hey, a fence is coming down. Hey, a stop sign's out. Hey, trees are covering signs. We don't know how fast we're going or when to stop. Or, I don't even know. I think there's probably 30 or more things that you can click on and give some sort of feedback. And to me, this is incredibly intrusive. You're going to have people telling on each other, neighbors telling on each other. And it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this as a city. But again, we can't keep up with what we got, so I can't imagine why we're adding more stuff. But that's what you do when when you're not doing a good job. You just fake it, and I don't know. So anyways, there's a link, and you can go find it on their Facebook, and you can tell on people if they're not mowing their lawns, their neighbors, or again, some of it's good, but it's like the city doesn't want to do their job. They want us to do their job. Tell us where we're failing. Maybe we won't fail anymore. It's basically what I take that as. Here it is. What they're supposed to be doing as a city is managing the city. They're supposed to be managing the city. We're every time I go, and I don't go to a ton, but I do go to some city council meetings. Every time I go to a city council meeting, it's talking about, hey, we've hired this group to tell us how to do what it is that the citizens need and want. It's constant. It's constant. Hey, we're paying for this, so we can be told how to do it. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's just so concerning to me. So at some point in time, they're going to have to change that. Or we're going to have to get rid of them and get people in that can do their job. The next year, there's a ton of city council positions coming up. And if you think that you want to run, get a hold of me somehow and Facebook me or something. But if you think you're interested, I'll let you know which districts are coming up. And we've got to have some change on there. We need some new blood and some new people. And I think that's good. People that are going to ask more questions. We have some that ask questions and some are always in the know. But it just seems like a lot of times they show up and look at the paperwork and it's the first time they've seen it, the agenda or whatever. And a lot of times they don't know what's going on. It's really weird and concerning, but we've got to do better. We need a demand, but we cannot be a C anymore. We can't go 2 or 3 more quarters with C's. And with a mayor that's just begging for more people to move in and we don't have the jobs for it. It doesn't make sense. We're imploding on ourselves if we keep doing this kind of stuff. And everybody needs to get together and have a real serious powwow and a real serious conversation about why we're moving in the direction that we are and how are we going to do it. Sidewalks are not the fix-all. Like, they're just not. Sorry, guys. It's just not. I was talking to, I guess you call him a friend of mine, is a businessman in town, and he's got great insight. His presentation is horrible, but he's got great insight, and they're not following that kind of stuff, but he is also the whole pathway things too, and it's just, we got to do better research. And always paying some company to come tell us how to be the best version of Jonesboro is ridiculous. Because the problem is that you're asking companies that don't know who Jonesboro is. And Jonesboro is incredibly unique. If you've lived here your whole life, it's unique. It's different than any town I've ever been in and lived in. And I've lived in quite a few. But Jonesboro's different. And it's unique. And we really need to have people that are leading our town that understand that. We got a couple, but the majority don't really understand what in the world's going on. And they're not real self-taught people either. And then again, like I said, we're constantly paying other groups to tell us what to do. And then we're supposed to implement that, but we don't do it. We've had a couple of companies come in and tell us what to do. here we are 5-6 years later, and we're still not doing it. So if you get a company to tell us what to do, but you can't implement it, it's just throwing money out the window. I think it's throwing money out the window anyways, because, people can go to other towns we deem as successful, in that we see that we would like to emulate and be like, and then go ask them. I'm sure if let's just say Truman came over here and said, what are y'all doing here and here, and how are y'all being successful at that? We'd show them. I would hope. And then they could go back. But these days, they just want to hire somebody to tell them what to do and spend thousands of dollars, $60,000, $70,000 telling us what to do and how to do it. And but that's yours and my $60,000, $70,000. There's also some other things that go on that drive me crazy. And there's no bidding on automobiles. I think we bought 30 and we didn't get bids. We just went and bought from several different, which I think is great, buying local. I think that's phenomenal. But we just went and bought, I think, some from the Dodge and some from Chevy and some from Ford, and but no bids. And it's like, so if we bought 30 and we could save, $500 on each one, that's a lot of money that we could do with something else. But I've seen that a couple of times, no bidding. I think that's just wrong. When you get a Nabholz or something that's been in it for a long time, that may be a little bit of a different thing. Nabholz is usually pretty transparent when it comes to giving us all of their numbers and stuff. But the only problem with that is let's say we're going to build a pool. Okay, nobody thought the pool was going to be $3 million on Parker Park. I think the original numbers were 1.5 or something. Do not quote me on this, but I think that's where they came in at, and it just incrementally got worse and worse. But we should have a baseline. We should be like, okay, what's the average pool going for, and what does that look like, and that be a starting point, and then add to there. But it's just not really what we're doing. It's not really how we're handling things, and the bidding process is always better. You always get better representation, and when it's taxpayers' money, I believe that's the way to go. Now, that doesn't mean that you always go with the lowest, because we all know that sometimes the lowest can't get the job done. But at least it gives us a fighting chance to make sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck. Here we are still sitting. I've offered to adopt a bus stop. Some people in the city have heard me say this, and I know some other companies that would take a bus stop. I haven't gotten calls once about putting up a bench or anything. I'll make sure it meets whatever it's supposed to meet, and we get benches at bus stops. It drives me crazy that we continue to push that down the road as well. And again, I know we paid somebody to tell us how to do this. I get it. It's crazy, but that's the case. And there's some other things that we need to be pushing here in Jonesboro. And I really encourage you guys to, I know it's tough to get online and say things or comment in Facebook when I post something, or reach out to me. And I know you're scared and nervous about who's going to see it or read it, but there's no reason to be. Like, there's a great group of us that are going to push Jonesboro to go in the right direction. We're going to go there. And just don't be afraid. Don't have regrets and look back in 5 years and be like, man, I should have said something. It's okay. Like, we got your back. Keep sharing. Keep watching. Guys, we're doing some great things. The pickup of what's happening here is fantastic. I really love what we got coming in the future. I promise you we're going to get those interviews online here pretty soon, and they're going to be good. And we're also going to do some local interviews for people that are running for some local stuff here real soon. We'll probably start that in maybe September. And that'll give you guys an opportunity to know who it is that you want to vote for. We're going to ask some tough questions, but we're going to spotlight the people that are going to run for elections here in Craighead and Jonesboro and Northeast Arkansas. I know we got some judge races coming up, and I know we got a couple of other things coming up next year. And it's just important to know who we're voting for. So they'll be on here, I promise you. And guys, I appreciate you. Have a great week, and we will see you next week, if not before. And God bless.